Needles are so important no matter which sewing machine you use. But today on the Pfaff Quilt Embroidery 630 sewing machine, I'm going to show you how to change a needle correctly, how to put it back in the easiest way, and a little bit about when to use different types of needles. So first off, with this machine comes a long screwdriver. This one's the easiest for me to use as we go in and loosen the screw here. There's also the short one. This is actually put in the machine to allow you to easily take the screws out of your throat plate. There's one here and one here, but for some of you, you might find that's the easier screwdriver at the top. And then there is the multi-purpose tool. Now, what we're going to be using is this little hole at the tip here. That is the perfect size to catch a needle once you've loosened it, and it also will help assist sliding it all the way up to the highest position, and holding the flat side towards the back so it doesn't twist around when we go to put it back in. If you can't remember the last time you changed a needle, let's just go right now and change it to a new one. When you are finding that you're skipping stitches, that is probably a needle problem. If you're hearing a little kind of tick, tick, tick along through your fabric. It might be a dull needle and it's punching through the fabric you're trying to stitch. If you've recently stitched over a pin and didn't make it all the way, your needle hit the pin and now you're hearing those kind of tick, tick sounds. The other thing would be is if your thread just randomly breaks, it is probably a needle thing. It is not a tension issue. You might need to clean out from underneath your throat plate too, but when we talk about our cleaning and maintenance video, we talk about taking the needle out and putting a new one back in. Now there's lots of different needles available for different fabrics, and then also different sizes for different fabric thicknesses and different thread thicknesses. So if you are using a thicker thread, you do need a needle with a bigger eye in it, and vice versa. You can use a smaller needle and thinner thread. So I use smaller needles and finer thread for fabrics that are more thin, like silks or satins. There are sharper needles and ballpoint needles, so they definitely make a stronger punch through the fabric. Now we're going to link right up here in this top corner here. That is going to be where you can find all of our needle videos. They are very short, but they might help you find the right needle for the fabric or project that you have planned. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First off, take your thread out of the needle, and I'm going to use this longer one. I said that was easier for me. And let's slide this up over the needle, and if you want, lower the presser foot down. That might give you a little bit more clearance. And really I'm just doing this so that the needle doesn't fall into the machine, but it also makes it a little easier on my hand. I'm not trying to get all the way in and underneath. So if this is hard motion for you, definitely do that. Another way to make sure the needle doesn't drop into the machine is you can also just set a little piece of fabric underneath that once again to kind of catch it, make sure it doesn't drop. Then you have to fish it out. That's no fun. But did you notice that the flat side is staying towards the back? So let's say we take that out, we put the new one in, and then we can, I'm going to lower the presser foot down, that makes it a little easier. We can then come in, I always put the point down into the middle of the foot first, and then just position it so it goes all the way as high as it will go. Now there's a way to test when you have gotten the needle all the way up, and that will be by using our needle threader next. Now here's the other thing. If you are using a screwdriver, which you should be, for tightening this, you need to be gentle. So you need to tighten it enough that it's not going to fall out. But if you over tighten it too often, you will bust the screw. So let's just find that happy medium where as you turn it, it is gently holding onto that. You'll know what I mean. And not cranking it with all your gusto to the tightest position. So if you find your needle fell out, then you didn't tighten it enough. Give it just a little bit more tug, and that will make a difference. Next, if you haven't already, make sure your needle is in the highest position by using your needle up-down button. And then you can utilize the needle threader to see if the needle is where it needs to be. So if you didn't get it high enough up, the eye and the threader don't line up. And that would be a great way to know now, a great thing to know now, not later after you start sewing with the needle not in the correct location. All right, needle threader works. That also helps make sure that needle threader head inside there, that little hook doesn't get bent. So that's a great little tip along the way. So changing needles, check out all the different kinds of needles. Then make sure you're changing them often. If you get any hiccup with your machine, change your needle. It should be the first thing you do if you have any troubles at all.